Let's go ahead and continue with extending the square root property. And it's got a little bit of crustiness in there, but nothing too hard that we can't handle. For the NFL. All right, so let's see. We have the quantity 2x minus 3 squared equals 18. All right, we want to go ahead and solve for x. So first, hopefully you notice there that we can go ahead and get rid of the square by doing the opposite of squaring, which is square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So the square and the square root cancel each other because they're opposite operations. And I get 2x minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 18. Okay, now let's just do the little side here on our paper here. What is the square root of 18? Well, again, we want to break down square root of 18. What's the biggest squared number that goes into 18? And that's going to be 9 square root of 9 and square root of 2. 9 times 2 is 18. And square root of 9 is 3, so this would be 3 radical 2. Okay, so you always want to simplify your radicals, and so square root of 18 is simplified as plus or minus 3 radical 2. Okay. All right, let's continue on here. So now I'm going to go ahead and this becomes a two-step equation. Now I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I'm going to divide by 2. So let's go ahead and add 3 first to both sides. Okay, so those guys are opposite. What the? So I get 2x equals, okay, let's remember here, the 3 goes in front of the plus or minus. Okay, so it's 3 plus or minus 3 radical 2. Okay, and notice that we actually will not be able to add 3 plus 3 radical 2. Because remember, one of our stipulations is if you want to add radical numbers, they both have to have the same index and the same radicand. Well, this doesn't even have a radical sign at all, so we won't even be able to combine these together. All right, so let's go ahead and divide by 2 now. Divide by 2, divide the whole side by 2. And so check out this answer then. It's x equals 3 plus or minus 3 radical 2 all over 2. Okay, you're like, that's really weird, dude. It was very different than our last problem. Yes, the last problem, they came out to be really nice numbers. Okay, these ones are coming out to be crusty, hairy numbers. They're both numbers, though. Okay, so let's just see if we can make sense of this. Okay, so this is 3 plus or minus 3 times radical 2 over 2. There's nothing we can do to simplify this. I can't combine this 3 plus this. Okay, 2 can't go into all these right here. All right, and also there's a plus or minus connecting these guys, so I can't, cross out that 2 and that 2. That's not mathematically sound right there. We can't do any of that. So really, this is the final answer right there. And if you need to write the 2 separate answers, our first answer would be 3 plus 3 radical 2 over 2, and the second answer is 3 minus 3 radical 2 over 2. Okay, but again, this is the condensed version that gives you both answers in one statement, but you can write them out separately to see what your 2 answers are. And just so that we have the context again, what do these 2 numbers represent? Cricket. Those are the roots, right? So if you were to graph this parabola, which we'll learn in the next chapter, we'll just say it's going to look something like this. These would be the 2 decimal answers. Okay, notice that this is going to be a positive number, so that's going to have to be the one on the right side over here. And this is going to be a negative number, and so that would be over here. Okay, so remember, that's just to give you some context of what actually we're finding. And of course, we'll do more of that next chapter of actually graphing these guys. All right, let's do another guy here. B. Oops. Let's see. So it's 3 plus 1, or 3x plus 1 quantity squared equals 2. Let's go ahead and solve for x by taking the square root of both sides. The square root and the square cancel out. I get 3x plus 1 equals. Now, I can't take the square root of 2. You can't simplify that, so I'm going to just leave it as plus or minus square root of 2. Okay? Sometimes that happens, right? Like you can't simplify it. Okay, let's go and solve now for x. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So I get 3x equals -1 plus or minus square root of 2. Again, your constant number will go in front. Your plus or minus will go in the back. And now we're going to divide both sides by 3. So this is actually our answer right here. X equals -1 plus or minus square root of 2 all over 3. Sorry, I don't know how to say all the other stuff in Spanish. But, that's going to be it right there.